Today I want to go over with you the tips for working with your brush pen. And I know we covered this, but it's sometimes really great to kind of re-talk about them and remember to do them as you're practicing your lettering. So you can find all the tips on page 2 in your workbook, and I'm just going to talk through them with you here. So the very first one is going to be your grip. So with these brush pens, there's this nice little silver line that you can use as a guide, but you want to hold your pen about 1 inch to 1.5 inches above the tip of the pen. And I like to rest mine on my third finger. Don't change the way you hold your pen compared to how you hold any other writing utensil. Hold it the same way. You just want to be about 1.5 inches above the tip of the pen. And the second thing is the angle. So when we're doing brush lettering, we need to be able to get, like these examples, a thick line and a thin line. And so if we hold our pen straight up at a 90-degree angle, we can only get really fine points or really thin lines. If we hold our pen too flat, more like a 180-degree angle, we're gonna get these oval dots or really thick lines. So to be able to get both of those, which we do need both, we need to hold our pen at a 45-degree angle. So just keep that in mind, and this will allow you to get really fine points and lines and really thick points and line, and be able to get that classic calligraphy look of the thin to thick lines. The next thing is pressure, and I've already started to demonstrate that here. But what you're going to want to do is anytime that you're moving your pen up, you want to use light pressure. Both of these would be considered light pressure, even though this one is a little bit lighter. Anytime you're moving your pen down, you want to use heavy pressure. And the important thing is you just want there to be a difference here. You want there to be some contrast between your thin and your thick lines. So don't get too frustrated or annoyed if your lines are not looking super thin. If they're in this range or even a little thicker than that, that's okay. They just need to be thinner than your downstrokes. And the last tip is movement. And so if I were to only use my wrist to draw a downstroke, I would eventually not be able to draw it anymore if I was only using wrist movements. But if I move my entire arm, I'm going to be able to make a downstroke for as long as I need to. And so you want to keep that in mind as you're lettering, to be able to move your entire arm. Don't just be using wrist movements. So again, the 4 tips are your grip. Hold the pen 1.5 inches to 1 inch above the tip of the pen. You want to hold your pen at a 45-degree angle so you can get thin and thick lines. You want to use light pressure when you're moving your pen in an upward direction, heavy pressure when you're moving your pen in a downward direction. And remember, don't just use wrist movements. You want to use your whole arm as you're lettering. So those are just a few tips to keep in mind as you're practicing.